Glad to be here with you to cut the ribbon on the Stewart Building right here in the heart of Chicago's South Side. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge the other elected officials and community leaders who are with us today. Commissioner Bridget Gainer, who chairs the Land Bank, Commissioner Dennis Deere, in whose district we're located, Representative Lakesia Collins on behalf of the state, Alderman Jeanette Taylor, this is the 20th Ward, Rob Rose, Executive Director of the Cook County Land Bank, Marissa Navarra, who is the Commissioner of the Department of Housing of the City of Chicago, and hopefully will be joining us soon. I want to thank all of you for being with us here as we take another step toward a world where everyone has access to decent, safe, and affordable housing. It's been an incredibly difficult 12 months for so many families across the county and the state, and many homeowners are struggling to keep up with their bills and stay in their homes. When people lose their homes, it doesn't affect just them. And abandoned properties hurt whole neighborhoods by creating unsafe conditions and further disinvestment. The Stewart Building is an example of how the cycle of disinvestment and blight hurts communities, but also demonstrates the positive impact on neighborhoods when we reduce vacancy and redevelop properties to address community needs. That's why we're here. We're also here to show support for the Homeowner Relief and Community Recovery Act. The Homeowner Relief and Community Recovery Act, sponsored by Representative Lakesia Collins and State Senator Steve Stadelman. If passed, the legislation will reduce the number of vacant and abandoned properties in our communities by making it easier to reclaim homes for homeowners. It will also give local governments the tools to reclaim properties like the Stewart Building. It's also time to put an end to the system that perpetuates redlining and the growth of vacant properties. So I joined the Cook County Land Bank, Cook County Clerk Karen Yarborough, Cook County Commissioner Bridget Gainer, and those standing, Commissioner Deere, and those standing with me here today calling for reform of the Cook County scavenger sale. We'll push for a new strategic plan to recover and revitalize blighted communities. We can do this at scale and faster than the antiquated system that serves short-term profits by speculators over sustainable community growth and affordable housing. All we need is a simple change in the law to allow us to harness the creativity of partnering with city, local, communities, and local developers. Like all of you here, I'm so happy to see the transformation of this building from a magnet for crime to beautiful housing units. Congratulations to all the families on their new homes, and thank you, Representative Collins, for championing homeowners across the state and creating the opportunity for more families to stay in their homes. I urge our state legislators to give Illinois residents the chance to keep their homes and give local governments the means to turn around vacant and abandoned properties and to build safe and prosperous communities. Thank you. Now, I want to thank, I forgot to thank Lissa Trieger, our sign language interpreter. Thank you, Lissa. Now, Executive Director Rose.
Thank you, Madam President. And I'd like to thank everyone else for being here today. After an incredibly tough year for Cook County residents, we're thrilled to join you all here today in celebration. As the Executive Director of the Cook County Land Bank Authority, I've had the honor of working closely with small developers with big visions for their communities. When the Land Bank acquired the Stewart Building, it was a dilapidated, vacant building that had become a hub for criminal activity for over 15 years. This property, which harbored a number of code violations, continued to drag down property values for this neighborhood. What was once written off as blight on the block is now 42 units of affordable, renovated housing. The building units now have granite countertops and stainless steel appliances, ceramic tiles, and the potential to be a site of happy memories for families in Englewood. We're proud to announce the affordable units are already over 50% leased. The story of the Stewart Building is a story of over 750 homes throughout Cook County that have been renovated by local community developers like WPD Management. Our county's small business owners and developers are the economic engines for our communities. The rehab of this building alone created hundreds of jobs and economic opportunity for the city and county while generating substantial community wealth, which is why it's important to implement reforms that enable our neighborhood developers to return vacant properties back to productive use. The state must pass the Homeowner Relief and Community Recovery Act, a critical bill that will help homeowners pay their tax bills and allow municipalities to transform more abandoned buildings into viable homes and businesses. We hope that legislators give our communities a fighting chance. Every vacant home was once someone's treasure. This legislation has the power to help revitalize more of our treasured neighborhoods, help homeowners, and stabilize Illinois communities. It is now my pleasure to introduce a community leader who has been unapologetic in her fight for fair housing throughout the 20th Ward. Please join me in welcoming Alderman Jeanette Taylor.
Here, here.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Housing is a human right. Chicago has lost an influx of community members because of lack of fair, affordable, and just safe housing in the community. And so I'm excited to be in the heart of Englewood where we open up the Stewart building. We know that this is just a drop in the bucket, but this is also a step in the right direction. It is important that you all know that the county, the state, and the city have come together around housing because we know what is going to happen once this pandemic is over. And so we got work to do, you all. And so I'm excited about this being in our community. I'm also excited to be working with some other wonderful people around this city for us to say this is a problem that we have to wrap our arms around. And so I thank the Land Bank and WDP for this project in my ward. And so without further ado, I will bring to you all Cook County Commissioner Dennis Deere.
Thank you so much. God is good and all the time. We're very, very thankful to be here with you on this morning. Thank Madam President Preckwinkle for her excellent work in this initiative. I want to thank my wonderful colleague, Commissioner Bridget Gainer, for her work. This is her baby. Thank you, Commissioner Gainer, for the great work. Thank you to Alderman Taylor, who is my partner in good government here in the 20th Ward, and also want to say a wonderful thank you to State Rep, my partner in good government on the west side and south side now. She on the south side of my district now. We do a lot of work together on the west side. Thank you for your advocacy for this. Listen, this is about putting people over politics, right? This is about helping take our communities to the next level. We have underserved community members on the west side, on the south side, and everywhere else. President Preckwinkle has been pushing an equity initiative. That's the fight that I love. You know why? Because I was born and raised in North Lawndale. Abandoned properties everywhere. Similar to here in Englewood. Abandoned properties everywhere. In fact, we were so poor that we were victims of a scavenger sale. Thank God we were able to get our place back, right? We need this legislation to help individuals get back to their rightful places. Houses create generational wealth. Amen? Amen. Having apartment buildings like this gives people the stepping stone to get to owning a house eventually and having generational wealth. So join us in this fight. This fight didn't just start and is definitely not ending. I'll end with this. In order to get something you've never had, you got to do something you've never done. God bless you all, and thanks to all these wonderful people. We're going to bring my west side and south side advocate, my good friend in good government, Lakesia Collins, who just hit the ground running in this fight. I mean, she won her election, hit the ground running. We meet with each other. We're always involved in stuff lately, the vaccination effort. But thank you, Lakesia Collins, for your wonderful work.
Thank you for your warm introduction, Commissioner Deere. I just also want to say thank you to my colleagues that's standing behind me today. Today, I feel a sense of strong community pride while standing here in the Stewart building. I'm galvanized by the work of local change makers who harness the potential that lives within our neighborhoods to transform abandoned properties into community assets. The Stewart building is one example of how the cycle of disinvestment in blight hurts communities, but it is also demonstrating the positive impact on neighborhoods when we reduce vacancy and redevelop properties to address community needs. That is why I was so excited when Commissioner Bridget Gainer approached me about sponsoring the Homeowner Relief and Community Recovery Act with State Senator Steve Stadelman. This bill will reduce the number of vacant and abandoned properties by making it easier to reclaim homes for homeowners. When the pandemic hit, residents across the state, it hit them really hard, and many were struggling to keep their heads above water, and they still are today. And many are living in fear of losing their homes. We've also seen 1 million residents apply for unemployment, which is the highest rate that the state has ever seen in the history. We've also witnessed that this disproportionately impacts communities of color. The problem is systemic, and we need systemic solutions. This is an issue of racial equity and housing equity. We must act fast to help municipalities intervene and save abandoned properties, and the time to do that is now. The Homeowner Relief and Community Recovery Act is one step in the right direction. I applaud the work that my colleagues at County and CCLBA are doing to make vacant properties accessible to community-based developers like WPD Management. I'm also proud to introduce someone who has been unwavering in her commitment to Cook County's residents and families. So please join me in welcoming Cook County Commissioner and Chairwoman of the Cook County Land Bank Authority, Bridget Gainer. All right. Let me put this mask on.
Thank you, everyone. Look, the people behind me assembled, everyone here is putting their best foot forward to move our neighborhoods forward. But the point that I want to make about this building is that it sat vacant for 15 years for no other reason than the laws and regulations and things that are built into state code acted as a barrier so no one could see how important and impactful this building could be. But it wasn't developed with public money. It was a private effort that came forward to rehab it in cooperation with the Cook County Land Bank, and now you're going to see 42 families able to make this their home. And what that tells me is these communities have a massive market potential. We should stop looking at vacant property as a liability and start looking at it as an undiscovered asset. There are 40,000 undiscovered assets in the scavenger sale that are sitting there behind, 75 steps of court processes and appraisals and inspections, and they're blocking the ability of smart, creative local developers to get access to them and to see their potential. And so all these families who are living in this building now and moving in this building and excited about it, they see the potential and they see the opportunity. And so with Alderman Taylor, this is just the beginning of what we're going to be doing in this community, because there are so many more options that you have a local developer that's excited to do it, you have a family that wants to move in there, and all we need to do is change regulations and change this state law, and that will open up the floodgates for us to have an undiscovered opportunity in our own community. So I want to thank everybody for coming out today. I want to thank the developers, WPD, who saw the vision for this building. I want to thank the families that are going to take a chance and move in to this absolutely gorgeous building now that sat there in full view for 15 years, hidden behind vacancy. But now we see what the potential is, and so we got to get moving. So thank you, everyone, for coming, and good luck to everyone going forward.